Letting number 8579, install 20-inch linear in Sublet, Maine, Arsenal to Potomac, St. Louis City Water Division. We have no bids.
Uh-oh, he's back again. Oh, my God.
Letting number 8589, Bellerive Sister Marie Charles Trail Connection. We have two bids. Rainier Construction, LLC, RAINERI Construction, LLC, $860,384.67. 860-384.67. Gershenson Construction. Let's see. Construction Co. GERSHENSON Construction Company, $854,220. 854-220.00. With a low bidder, please meet with Ms. Bean in the hallway. Thank you.
Sister Marie Charles is expensive. Are we on? We have two hearings today. Hearing numbers 8180 and hearing number 8181, the preliminaries of the hearings. The revocation hearings today are being conducted pursuant to Section 26.100.030 of the Revised Code of the City of St. Louis. The Office of the Zoning Administrator has the burden to prove the conditions of the permits have not been complied with. After all of the zoning's evidence has been presented, the board will ask for additional testimony, if any, in support of the revocation. Then, the conditional use holder will be given the opportunity to present evidence. Lastly, the board will hear other testimony in opposition to the revocation, if any. Your testimony is being recorded. When you come forward, please state your name and address and be sworn in. As you testify, please direct your comments to the board and not to those in the audience. Members of the audience are asked to remain silent and not coach the witnesses. During your testimony, members of the board may have questions for you. Following the hearings, the board will proceed with its regular agenda. Following the regular agenda, the board will deliberate, discuss, and vote on the hearings. The board will notify the conditional use holders of its decision by mail in about 2 weeks. Hearing number 8180. The purpose of this hearing is to determine whether the conditional use permit issued to Broadway Meat Market, LLC, CO Rami Al Mutin, to occupy 8306 North Broadway as a grocery store with cooking and packaged liquor, subject to certain conditions, should be revoked. The conditions in questions are as follows. Item 5, there shall be no sale of items that can be used as drug paraphernalia, including food scales, blunt cigars, glass roses with glass tubes, disposable lighters with pop-off tops, steel scrubbing pads and screens, rolling papers, ephedrine or pseudoephedrine, diet supplements, sleep aids, bath salts, or other substitutes for illegal drugs. Item 6, there shall be no temporary signage on the premise or posted to the exterior of or interior of the windows or doors of the establishment at any given time. Item 7, The applicant must apply for and receive a permit from the City of St. Louis Building Division before posting permanent signage, and the permanent signage must be approved by the Office of the Zoning Administrator before being installed. The Board of Public Service has in its possession the following documents which are being introduced into evidence for this hearing. Item 1, a certified copy of the zoning code of the City of St. Louis. Item 2, the conditional use permit number 120283 issued to Broadway Meat Market LLC, CO Rami Al Mutin, to occupy 8306 North Broadway as a grocery store with cooking and packaged liquor subject to conditions. Item 3, a memoranda with photos from the zoning inspector to the zoning administrator dated June 2nd, 2015, stating that upon investigation of the property, the zoning inspector found violations of conditions numbers 5, 6, and 7 of the permit. Item 4, a letter dated June 3rd, 2015, sent to the conditional use permit holder from the zoning administrator warning of the violations of the conditions that were found upon site inspection and the potential for a revocation hearing should the violations not be corrected within 30 days. Item 5, a memorandum with photos from the zoning inspector to the zoning administrator stating that upon her reinvestigation performed on July 23rd, 2015, the zoning inspector found violations of conditions numbers 5, 6, and 7 of the permit. Item 6, the public notice for today's hearing. And item 7, a certified letter sent to the conditional use permit holder from the board secretary providing notice of today's hearing. At this time, the board asks a representative of the Office of the Zoning Administrator please come forward and be sworn in.
Would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. My name is Myra Turner. I'm zoning inspector for the City of St. Louis.
Can you please tell the board about the possible violations of the conditions in question?
Yes, sir. Could you pass that over to the president? On the incept of this investigation, they were in violation of 3 of the conditions. Condition number 5, there should be no sale of items that can be used as drug paraphernalia, including food scales, blunt cigars, glass roses and glass tubes, disposable lighters with pop-off tops, steel scrubbing pads and screens, rolling papers, ephedrine or pseudoephedrine, diet supplements, sleep aids, bath salts, or other substitutes for illegal drugs. Number 6, there should be no temporary signage on the premises or posted to the exterior or interior of the window or doors of the establishment at any given time. And number 7, the applicant must apply for and receive a permit from the City of St. Louis Building Division before posting permanent signage, and the permanent signage must be approved by the Office of the Zoning Administrator before being installed. As of today, on reinspection, they have complied with number 6 and 7. However, number 5, there shall be no sale of items that can be used as drug paraphernalia, including food scales, blunt cigars, glass roses with tubes, disposable lighters with pop-off tops, steel scrubbing pads and screens, rolling papers, ephedrine or pseudoephedrine, diet supplements, sleep aids, bath salts, or substitutes for illegal drugs. If you look at the photos before you, there are still shelves and shelves of blunts.
So just to be clear, they have complied with items, condition 6 and condition 7, but are still in violation of condition 5.
That is correct,
And that is as of today?
as of today.
Okay. Does the board have any questions? Thank you very much. Is there anyone else present who wishes to testify in support of the revocation? If so, please come forward and be sworn in. Seeing none, the board asks the conditional use permit holder to please come forward and be sworn in.
back to this one, or
Is he not the conditional use permit holder?
he is, he's said he's attorney is coming, so he's waiting on his attorney to come.
Okay.
I guess his attorney's in Luxembourg.
I mean, do you have any problem with if he answers the questions?
No, do you, is it a big shift? That's fine with me as long as he's supposed to be here, I don't, he's supposed to be at 1:45, right? Today, he's coming today for sure.
Yes, ma'am. I called him before I entered the door.
How far away is he?
About 5 to 7 minutes.
You just said that, he's 5 minutes away.
No, I'm approximate. I'm thinking that it's going to be about 5 to 7 minutes. He was in Big Bend when I
So
called
why
him.
don't we do this? Why don't we go to the next hearing, and then we'll come back to it when he gets here. Sound good? Okay. Okay. So we're waiting for the conditional use permit holder to arrive, and so we have another hearing, so what I'd like to do is table this hearing for the moment until the conditional use permit holder gets here, and then we'll reconvene on this. So let's handle the next hearing.
Rich, if I can make a suggestion, recommendation, just in the chance that the next one or two of them may have somebody they're waiting for too, maybe make sure they have everybody in the room that needs to be here. You know what I'm saying, for the next one?
That's fine.
Just so you don't have to waste your time doing the same reading again.
Right, and it's not required that they testify, so if, it's my recommendation that we give the gentleman an opportunity, if the board would like, and you guys would like to say you don't want to hear his testimony, we can certainly bypass that as well, but it's up to you. He's not here, he was notified it's at 1:45.
Oh, no, I'm saying we skip and come back to him. I'm just saying the next two, make
Does
sure
anyone
everybody's
have a
present.
problem with that? Okay, all right. Hearing number 8181, the purpose of this hearing is to determine whether the conditional use permit issued to Dynasty Discount, Inc., CO Fuad Khalil, to occupy 6321 West Florissant as a convenience store, no liquor, with cooking subject to certain conditions, should be revoked. The conditions in questions are as follows. Item 4, there should be no sale of items that can be used as drug paraphernalia, including food scales, blunt cigars, excluding White Owl, Tan and Black, Swisher Sweets, etc., glass tubes, disposable lighters with pop-off tops, steel scrubbing pads and screens, rolling papers, ephedrine or pseudoephedrine, diet supplements, sleep aids, bath salts, or other substitutes for illegal drugs. Item 5, there should be no loitering, for which the applicant must post a no loitering sign and enforce it. Item 6, the applicant must apply for and receive a permit from the City of St. Louis Building Division before posting signage, and the signage must be approved by the Office of the Zoning Administrator before being installed. The Board of Public Service has in its possession the following documents which are being introduced into evidence for this hearing. Item 1, a certified copy of the zoning code of the City of St. Louis. Item 2, the conditional use permit number 119928 issued to Dynasty Discount, Inc., CO Faoud Khalil, to occupy 6321 West Florissant as a convenience store, no liquor with cooking, subject to conditions. Item 3, a memorandum with photos from the zoning administrator, from the zoning inspector to the zoning administrator dated June 15, 2015, stating that upon investigation of the property, the zoning inspector found violation of condition numbers 4, 5, and 6 of the permit. Item 4, a letter dated June 15, 2015, sent to the conditional use permit holder from the zoning inspector warning of the violations of the conditions that were found upon a site inspection and the potential for a revocation hearing should the violations not be corrected within 30 days. Item 5, a memorandum with photos from the zoning inspector to the zoning administrator stating that upon her reinvestigation performed on July 29, 2015, the zoning inspector found violations of condition numbers 4, 5, and 6 of the permit. the public notices, item 6, the public notices for today's hearing, and item 7, a certified letter to the conditional use permit holder from the board secretary providing notice of today's hearing. At this time, the board asks a representative of the Office of the Zoning Administrator, please come forward and be sworn in.
Every time.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do. My name is Myra Turner, and I am zoning inspector for the city of St. Louis.
Can you please tell the board about the possible violations of the conditions in question?
Yes, sir. First, let me apprise the board that in August, the business was sold to someone else. However, today we have the previous owner and the new owner here, and I want that to be on the record.
Okay.
Okay? Now, all right. Upon my inspection today, Dynasty, because the new owner is changing the name of the business as well. So Dynasty, as of today's reinspection, they're still in violation of number 4. They have several shelves still of the cigars and whatever. Condition number 5, there should be no loitering, and you must have a no loitering sign. They still have the handwritten sign in the window. And number 6, they do not have any permits for the sign that is saying Dynasty, nor the loitering, nor any of those temporary signs that you should see with food or whatever, Page Plus Payment Center, U-Haul. None of them have a permit as of today. In January of 2015, they had submitted an application for the refacing of the Dynasty sign, but it was abandoned. So therefore, they do not have permits for signage.
Okay. So again, just for verification purposes, they are still in violation of condition 4, 5, and 6 as of today.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Does the board have any questions? Seeing none, thank you. Is there anyone else present who wishes to testify in support of the revocation? If so, please come forward and be sworn in.
Raise your right hand, please. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, ma'am.
Would you state your name for the board, please?
Chris Carter.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. To the members of the board, I spoke with the previous owner and with the current owner. They switched ownership recently, I believe in August, and the current owner is basically, he's abreast of every single problem that we had with the past owner. And he is willing to correct everything, well, all of the problems that they had. We just had a conversation, I think it was last week or the week before last. And he is working diligently to bring the store up to code and to apply for everything that he has to. I don't know why the past owner was continuing to be in, was continuing not to be in compliance. I don't have a reason for that, but maybe he can come up and share that with you all. Out of our conversation, I think that he thought that he could just sell the blunt wraps and all of the marijuana wraps and pipes, I guess, and I don't know why. So as a business owner, he did accept everything that he did, and I believe that he couldn't work under the standards in which we were trying to provide, and that's why he sold. And I thank Jesus that he sold. So thank you.
Does the board have any questions for the alderman? Okay. Thank you. All right. The board asks the conditional use permit holder, please come forward and be sworn in.
you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I will do.
Will you state your name for the board, please?
Sure. My name is Fawad Khalil, and I used to own the Dynasty Discounter Mall. And as you know, you guys, we just sold the business for Sohaib. And honestly, in the beginning, I don't know. It's the paraphernalia. What I know, it's something to use for the marijuana, which is or something for the meth or something like this. I don't know. Is this Swisher Sweet or anything like this? It's coming with tobacco. It's like paraphernalia, which is they told me you have to take the paper and the pipes, which is I did took them out, but I don't know. It's the Swisher, as a Swisher cigarillo. It's tobacco. I don't know if that one is paraphernalia, which is wouldn't have anything else as a paraphernalia, just those, the cigarillo and the black and males. And another things wouldn't have those, like grass roses, something wouldn't have those and all.
Does the board have any questions?
This isn't the current owner,
This is the past owner.
past owner. No, I have no
Yes.
questions for him.
This is the previous owner who sold it to the new owner. So no further questions for this gentleman? Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Can we ask the present owner to please step forward and be sworn in?
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you state your name for the board, please?
Sohaib Hussain.
Well, so typically when they sell. So that was his leader, he would have unless they want to change. Unless they wanted to change.
Okay, so you are the current owner of the business at this address?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you bought this business from the gentleman in the audience?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and he had a conditional use permit to operate this business prior to you buying it?
Oh, he never told me.
Okay, and that's half of the problem, because when you buy a business and you have a conditional use that's pending, before you can operate that business, you have to come down and apply to have that conditional use transferred over into your name. Then we issue you a conditional use, and you understand what the conditions are. So if I were to ask you if you understand what the conditions are on this permit, what is your answer going to be?
I'm not going to continue in the store. I'm going to give him his store back.
I have
can't
no
conti-
idea what they are because I don't have a conditional use because I've never applied for one.
Exactly.
Okay. Does the board have any questions?
When did you purchase the property?
There you go.
I heard August, but do you know specifically when you
That
got
was
it?
probably August 3rd.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
You've had the business since August the 3rd, and the items are still on the shelf.
Yes, ma'am.
And you understood that the items should be removed from the shelf.
No, ma'am. Nobody told me that. Nobody told me I have to move all of them items down.
So I think what we have is a case here where a business was sold, and so the conditional use permit holder who's in the audience is probably the person who's actually in violation of the conditional use conditions because he was issued the permit, he understood them, he was counseled by the zoning inspector. This gentleman bought the business and doesn't even understand the process. And so I believe what we have to do here is to explain to this gentleman that a conditional use has to be transferred into his name, and the conditions will remain the same more than likely, and he will have to comply with these conditions, or after he gets his conditional use, he'll find himself in the same type of hearing. Okay.
Can have the alderman, would you mind stepping up for me, please?
We just had a brief conversation, and it seems like he wants to give the business back to the old owner. And so I don't know how that will play out now.
So do you, as the alderperson, have an issue with the business operating in the neighborhood? If a new owner applied for a conditional use and followed the conditions, would you object to that?
No. I actually would applaud a new owner that wanted to abide by these conditions that we have in place now. So, I mean, I support any new ownership. I came down and I spoke with him and told him that he had my support. I think we had a few things that we were going to work on, just in terms of beautifying the property and around the property, and that was it. I thought that he was given the conditions from the previous owner, so maybe that's partial on my fault too.
So I think the way we'll handle this, and of course we'll talk about this after the meeting, but I think that we have to approach this as this gentleman is operating without a conditional use permit
Right.
at this time. You know, and what he needs to do is immediately
Apply.
find himself down to the secretary's office and apply for a conditional use permit so that it can come before the board, so that we can grant him the proper permit with the proper conditions, and then we can enforce it properly.
Right. I think right now we just discussed that he ran into another problem with the electricity in the building, and I think it's going to cost him a lot more than what he proposed. So I think that's going to weigh in a lot, right? Yeah, that's going to weigh in a lot in whether he is going to stay or leave anyway. So, I just want to make sure that we have a credible business owner in there that's going to definitely abide by the conditions that you all place on the business and keep the place clean. So,
Okay. Any other questions for the alderman from the board? Okay, thank you.
thank you.
So I think what we're saying is you need to come down and apply for a conditional use permit for this premise as soon as possible. Okay.
Excuse me, could we have the new owner, would you mind coming back, please? I want to clarify, after hearing the alderman speak, that you're now concerned whether or not you're going to go forward with the purchase of this property? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that the arrangement could possibly not go through? Is that
Problem?
probably not go through?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else present who wishes to testify in opposition to this revocation? Please step forward.
Can I make another comment? I guess it's more so of a question to you all, and I don't know if I can ask some questions. But let's say that he does give the building back to the previous owner, and then we're back here next month or in 2 months with the new owner. How does this play out? Because what I don't want to happen is that, let's say that the new owner gives the business back to the old owner, and then they still stay in, stay with current problems that.
So what happens is whoever the owner of the business is at the time has to have an active conditional use permit.
Okay.
Okay? So he has to come in, apply for it, get it all up to date.
Okay.
If he decides in 60 or 90 days he wants to go back to the other owner, then again, it'll have to be adjusted. I mean, I would hope we're not going to be playing ping pong here, going back and forth to try to beat the system.
Right.
Because at some point, we know that the previous owner has not complied with the conditional use.
Right.
So my thought would be, is if it goes back to the previous owner, again, just my thought, not the board's, would be that we would have to have some clarification that the previous owner is going to comply with the conditions, because as we see here today, he's not.
I would recommend, and this is just me, if it goes back to the previous owner, that we revoke it.
And how would it go back to him?
I guess because the way that it's looking now, that if they don't work out, because right now they can't pass a electrical inspection, when the new guy can. So he's saying if it's going to cost him this $15,000 that this guy just told him it's going to cost, then he already dumped 20 into the building. So another 15, which he didn't have planned to pay for, he don't want to get too deep in. So he wants to just, here you go, you can have it back. I'm out of here. And so if we have that case, then we're back to square one with Dynasty. With the original owner of Dynasty still being the owner, and them still having merchandise in the store, stuff that we've seen on the paper.
Right. And so that's kind of what I'm saying, that the new owner would have to apply for this conditional use and be in compliance. And then if it went back to the previous owner, then what would happen is this board would have to agree to that.
Okay.
And at that time, we have testimony in front of us that he's not complied in the past. So very possibly, someone like yourself may come to the meeting and, say, I don't want this to happen, and we may vote against it, and he may not get it at all. Then again, someone like yourself may come and say, you'd like to give him an opportunity, and we may do that.
Thank you very much.
Okay?
All right, thanks.
Thank you. All right, anyone else present opposing this revocation, please come forward and testify at this time. Seeing none, the matter concerning hearing number 8181 is now closed and submitted. Okay. We will go back to hearing number 8180. And at this point in time, I will ask the zoning administrator, Office of the Zoning Administrator, please come forward again and be sworn in and revisit the issues with us so the conditional use permit holder can hear that.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. My name is Myra Turner, and I'm the zoning inspector for the city of St. Louis. This is with 8306 North Broadway. Okay. All right. In the beginning of this, they were in violations of conditions number 5, 6, and 7, which condition number 5, there shall be no sale of items that can be used as drug paraphernalia, including food scales, blunt cigars, glass roses with glass tubes, disposable lighters with pop-off tops, steel scrubbing pads and screens, rolling papers, ephedrine or pseudoephedrine, diet supplements, sleep aids, bath salts, or other substitutes for illegal drugs. Number 6, there should be no temporary signage on the premises or posted to the exterior or interior of windows or doors of the establishment at any given time. Number 7, the applicant must apply for and receive a permit from the City of St. Louis Building Division before posting permanent signage, and the permanent signage must be approved by the Office of the Zoning Administrator before being installed. As of today, conditions number 6 and 7 have been complied with. Condition number 5 is still in violation. As of today, you look at the photos, you can see all of the blunts and the wrap papers or whatever that they have within their store.
So again, as of today, 6 and 7 have been complied with. Condition number 5 is still in violation.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Okay, thank you. At this time, the board would ask if there's anyone else present who wishes to testify in support of the revocation. Please come forward and be sworn in. Seeing none, the board asks if the conditional use permit holder please come forward and be sworn in.
you raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
State your name for the board, please.
My name is Jay Kanzler. I'm an attorney at Witzel Kanzler Dimmitt, and I represent the owner of the business.
Okay,
And
so,
let me apologize in advance. I did not know there was a hearing today, so I come before this board quite often, and I think I've shown enough respect that I would not show up for a hearing.
so I would ask if you would address the issue that condition number 5 of the conditional use permit is still in violation.
Certainly. When this was first, when the notice or the warning letter was first given to the store, I spoke with the business owner and, informed them what needed to be done. And they said they had complied, but at the same time, they also asked me, they said, our hours are shorter than we'd like to be. We've been in business for a year, and we'd like to extend the hours, and we also would like to modify, modify this word blunt in the conditional use. So we filed I can call it a motion or for a modification of the conditional use permit. And I came down here in the morning time on that particular hearing, presented the evidence and submitted that, and we have not heard back on that. So I think there may have been some confusion with the owner of the property as it related to this issue of blunts. And I will tell you, I'm not in opposition to the board imposing, nor is my client imposing conditions when it comes to the things that are, quite frankly, obviously, there's no other use for them. Little glass rose things, the chore boy, even the chore boy. But there's certain things that we all know what they're used for, and really they have no place in that store. I don't know what a blunt is. I know that what I hear, it's a cigar, I guess. But is it the cigar, itself? Lots of people smoke the Swisher Sweets, the Black and Milds, the little cigars. They're sold everywhere. They're sold in all kinds of stores. Yes, some people do empty out the tobacco. I am told, and again, I just don't smoke pot, so I don't know, and that they use them as a way of smoking marijuana. But I also know that there are a lot of people that smoke those instead of cigarettes and other things, and that's what I just don't know what that means, the term blunt. So when I move for modification of that, that's what I was asking, that be removed. These other items, I understand that, but I guess I would disagree and don't quite understand exactly what would fall under that category of blunt. Is it just the smaller cigars? What about the ones that go up a little bit more? I don't know. So what I would ask is, if I would ask this board to go ahead and not revoke today based on that, and if there is not a modification that, granted pending that, and I will tell the guys to take all that stuff out today, okay? It'll be gone. And then we'll see what this board or the next board does as it relates to the modification. If they deny it, well, then I guess, they better make some decisions. They better figure out what the definition of it is and decide whether they, you all agree with it or not. But that's why I think we're here today, as it relates to that one particular item.
So who did you file for a modification with?
When you say you filed for a modification, do you mean like you applied to amend the conditional use permit?
I applied, and then we filed that, paid for it, and had a hearing on it.
Okay.
If I could, just briefly, we did hold a hearing with a request to modify the condition about the blunts and also the hours of operation, but standard practice not to present a recommendation on a conditional use hearing to this board when there's a pending revocation hearing in place. So if the board decides today not to revoke, then next week we would present the recommendation regarding the change of hours and the sale of the blunts to this board, and they can make a final decision at that point on whether or not they want to remove the condition about the sale of blunts and extend the hours of operation. If the board decides to revoke today, then that's a moot point, basically. But he did have to make an application to amend the conditions for the conditional use permit, and we did hear the hearing.
And I'll just tell you, I was not informed. I didn't know that, because when we went to hearing, they just told us, you'll get a letter in the mail, or a decision in the mail.
No, but they haven't had that presented to him, but we could do that easily next week if the board sees it appropriate.
So I didn't know that it was dependent upon.
So it seems like where we are is you've rectified 2 conditions, and basically where you are is asking for a definition or a clarification of the third, so you know exactly what you need not to have.
Correct.
Okay. Does the board have any questions? Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. If there is anyone else present opposing this revocation, please step forward and testify at this time. Seeing none, the matter concerning hearing number 8180 is now closed and submitted. The board will now move on to its regular agenda. Okay, one more. We're going to do that after. That's a revisit. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Scobie.
Here.
Director Rundy.
Here.
Director Hayes.
Here.
Director Roth is excused. Director Moore.
Here.
Director Gray.
Here.
And President Bradley.
Here. We have a quorum. A call meeting order.
From the President, plans and specifications for letting number 8591, 2015 roof replacement for Terminal 1 East Extension D Concourse, Gate D6 through D26 at Lambert St. Louis International Airport. Plans and specifications for letting number 8592, improvements to Tilly's Park, R 2014-87-152. PSA number 1164, professional design services for downtown traffic signal improvements, Broadway and 7th Street, Chestnut to Market, Chestnut and Market Streets, Broadway to 7th. Recommendation that the board receives as a gift of $425,000 for the construction of Arts Academy Plaza from Grand Center, Inc., in accordance with the letter agreement between Grand Center, Inc. and the City of St. Louis in regard to 617 North Grand Boulevard, dated July 22nd, 2015. Recommendation that the board declares as emergency action work for Sublet Park upgrade conference station to ADA 5600 Southwest Avenue. Recommends approval. From the President, Director of Public Utilities and Streets, joint recommendation that permit for 4260 Forest Park LLC to construct curbside bioretention basins along the east side of Ball between Duncan and Forest Park Avenue be approved. From the President and Director of Streets, joint recommendation that the following permits be approved subject to certain conditions. Missouri Department of Transportation access 3 city-owned parcels for temporary construction easement in conjunction with the Poplar Street Bridge project. Recommends approval. And Jenny Splendid Ice Cream to encroach with handicap ramp at 389 through 91 North Euclid be approved subject to certain conditions. From the Director of Public Utilities and Streets, joint recommendation that the following permits be approved subject to certain conditions as follows. AT&T to bore and place 175 feet of fiber cable from an existing manhole at the front of 2015 Shenandoah to the side of 2025 Gravois and cut and restore 2 feet by 4 feet area outside manhole. AT&T to bore and place a fiber cable from an existing handhole at the side of 111 Winnebago Street, 500 feet south to the front of 3740 Marine, and place a new handhole at the front of 3740 Marine. And Ameren, Missouri to set new pole for a new lateral to a 3 pH pad mounted transformer and associated new 1600A underground service in the alley on the side of Shenandoah at South 2nd Street. From the Director of Public Utilities and Public Safety, Joint recommendation that permit for 1312 LLC and Northside Regeneration LLC to re-subdivide land at 1400, 1406, 1408, 1414, 1428 rear, and 1450 North 13th Street, and 1312 Hanley, 1196 rear, 1198 rear, and 1200 rear, Cass, in City Block 576 be approved, subject to certain conditions. From the Director of Streets, an affidavit for petition number 6756 Metropolitan St. Louis Sewer District relating to the compliance of Section 10 of Ordinance 69885 dated December 4, 2015, which provides for the conditional vacation of public air, surface, and subsurface rights for vehicle, equestrian, and pedestrian travel in Hebert from Clara to Blackstone, Blackstone from Hebert to Ashland, Ashland beginning approximately 133 feet west of Clara and continuing to Blackstone. The 15-foot wide east-west alley in City Block 6132 is bounded by Hebert, Clara, Ashland, and Blackstone. The 15-foot wide U-shaped alley in City Block 4360 is bounded by Natural Bridge, Clara, Hebert, Blackstone, and the Terminal Railroad. And the 15-foot wide U-shaped alley in City Block 5239 is bounded by Ashland, Blackstone, Clara, Greer, and Terminal Railroad in the City of St. Louis. Recommendation that President be authorized and directed to sign the certificate on behalf of the Board and affidavit, and certificate be returned to the undersigned to be filed for record on or before December 4, 2015. Recommendation that the following permits be approved subject to certain conditions as follows. Jenny's Blended Ice Cream to encroach with push plate agitator to be located in an adjacent existing planter at 389 through 91 North Euclid. And Tootwaller Enterprises LLC doing business as Copperman's to encroach with Sidewalk Cafe, 13 tables and 42 chairs with liquor at 386 North Euclid. From the Director of Parks, Recreation, and Forestry. Recommendation that the following permits be approved subject to certain conditions as follows. J&M Displays, the whole firework display for the Great Forest Park Balloon Race, September 18, 2015, in Forest Park. And J&M Inc. to hold firework display in Keener Plaza, September 18, 2015. From the Director of Public Safety. Recommendation that 7 festival zones be approved subject to certain conditions as follows. Better Block Exhibition, September 12, 2015, at Dr. Martin Luther King between Hamilton and Holdemont. Live in the Alley, September 25, 2015, Lucas between Garrison and Cardinal. Light the Night, September 26, 2015, in Forest Park, Central Field. Hispanic Festival, September 25th through the 28th, 2015, at Soulard Market Park from 9th to Broadway. Cornahan HS Homecoming Parade, October 2nd, 2015, Streets and Mini Wood Park across from high school. Historic Shaw Arts Fair, October 2nd through the 5th, 2015, at Shaw Neighborhood, Flora Place, Clem, Tower Grove, Thurman, Russell, and Flagg. Child Safety Day, October 10, 2015, at Delmar and Holdemont. Now we have the conditional uses.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, members of the board, Bob Gordy, representing the building commissioner at today's hearing. Purple order number 76766, transmitted herewith our recommendation for the following conditional use agenda applications. Approval with conditions is recommended for 4 applications: 3543 Crittenden, 2839 Cherokee, 4429 Ridgewood, and 4241 Gibson. I request these recommendations be approved as submitted.
Are there any questions on the conditional uses? Seeing none, I'll take a motion, please.
Motion to accept the conditional uses as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Can you read the roll, please?
Director Scobie.
Aye.
Director Rundy.
Aye.
Director Hayes.
Aye.
Director Rothers, excuse. Director Moore.
Aye.
Director Gray.
Aye.
and President Bradley.
Aye, approved. I'd like to consider hearing number 8180, which is Broadway Meat Market. The gentleman was testified first by the zoning inspector that 2 of the conditions had been rectified as of today's inspection. The one remaining item that had not been rectified has been submitted for a clarification to the building division. And it's my understanding that depending on what that recommendation is, the conditional use permit holder will comply with that condition. So I'll open the floor for discussion.
Mr. Chair, we know that smoking is bad for the health. We know that this gentleman was provided an opportunity to make the corrections. My concern is that, and I'm glad that the 2 items those 2 violations had been abated and corrected. I would be more interested in if all 3 had been corrected and abated at the same time. Here's what we know about access. When you limit access, then you won't have it there. You won't have the population going in and having access to purchase. So my concerns are, you asking for clarification. There was an opportunity to ask for clarification earlier on in the process. So I am apprehensive about waiving the revocation based on that.
Comments, questions?
I would state that based on the fact that there's been somewhat of a clarification issue that's still yet to be resolved in reference to this, that when we have that answer, I think it puts us in a little better position to be able to revoke or not revoke based on that information.
Okay. Other comments?
With all due respect to Director Moore's comments, which I do concur with, I also concur with Director Gray, not putting words in his mouth, but it seems there's a loose end that we should clear up here before we make any determination on a actual revocation of this conditional use.
So would it be, and I'll ask City Council this, would it be protocol if we tabled this hearing until a determination has been made as to what the definition of blunt is, and then we give an opportunity to cure?
Right, I would just, since they have a pending action already, I would just not even go that specific, just say table it for 30 days, pending the outcome of their amendment to their permit, something like that.
Okay, so your recommendation would be as we give them 30 days pending the outcome of what the determination
It
is?
sounds like from zoning, we're gonna find out in the next couple of weeks, so.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, I'll take a motion, please.
I motion that we table this revocation for the next 30 days until we have an answer from zoning on how they're going to determine the 2 issues that are in front of them at this time.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to table until we have a clarification. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Scobie.
Aye.
Director Rundy.
Aye.
Director Hayes.
Aye.
Director Roth is excused. Director Moore.
Aye.
Director Gray.
Aye.
And President Bradley.
Aye, tabled. Hearing number 8181, go ahead.
I do have part of the question that was raised about blunts, for my own edification, I would really like to know what that is as well, because in the conclusion of what all of those things are, because I don't smoke, I don't know what they are either, so.
I was once a substance abuse counselor, and a blunt is a cigar that you cut, remove the tobacco leaves out, put marijuana and/or cocaine inside of it, roll it back up, and smoke it.
So it's a
And I don't want to digress, but I'm sitting here thinking, I know the whole hearing, I know exactly what a cigar is, but it seems to me that that description would make anything you pretty much can buy in Walgreens or anywhere to smoke would be in violation of this conditional use. So I guess I'm curious to see what exactly each is. I mean, years ago, I would smoke cigars leisurely many years ago, and I don't know if those would be classified as a blunt either, but I'm still a little confused. So it'll be nice to hear from the professionals of what's what.
We've tabled the first hearing, 8180. I'd like to ask you to consider hearing 8181, which is the Dynasty Discount, Inc. And basically what the situation there is we had a previous owner that had a conditional use permit. We have a new owner that does not have a conditional use permit. And my recommendation would be very similar to what we did on the first one, to table it and give the gentleman an opportunity to apply for a conditional use permit, and then we'll revisit this at such a time. So I'd like to open the floor for discussion.
My only question is, based on what we're hearing today, is the new owner, because of the cost in fixing the place up, may back out. So then that puts us back to revoking this eventually, making a decision on whether we would revoke it in the future. So I'm kind of torn. I'm not sure which way I really want to go, because it appears as though the new owner is going to say, I'm not putting another $15,000 into the electricity in this place, so therefore I'm letting it go, which means it's going to fall back on the old owner. And based off of the information that we heard, the old owner not just had issues with the zoning, but they also had issues in the community.
Right. And so the hard part is if you revoke the conditional use that's in place, it cannot be transferred to the new owner. They would have to go through the whole entire process to start over. And the alderman spoke that he has no issue with the new owner owning it, so I would hate to impair that individual. And so I think part of my recommendation to table is to give this thing an opportunity to shake itself out so that we're not doing a lot of back and forth.
Right, and it seems like with the alderman being the one that came to speak, what he learned today was news to him as of about 2 p.m. So I think I agree with Rich, the chairman.
I mean, should you put a time frame on tabling it? Say that it goes back to the old owner, and this guy, he may not find anybody to sell it for 6 months to buy it. So we can't let that conditional use go.
So one might say that this gentleman that owns the business now has 30 days to apply for the conditional use permit and get it in his name, or we'll revisit the revocation of the existing.
Correct.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll take a motion, please.
I move to table this hearing for 30 days. Second.
I have a motion to table for 30 days and a second. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Scobie.
Aye.
Director Rundy.
Aye.
Director Hayes.
Aye.
Director Roth is excused. Director Moore.
Aye.
Director Gray.
Aye.
And President Bradley.
Aye, tabled. The next we have hearing number 8175. We're going to revisit this hearing. There is no testimony. That portion is closed. This is for M&E Food Markets, Walid Hassan, the revocation of conditional use permit number 12173 to occupy 8635 North Broadway as a convenience store with cooking and no liquor. I'll ask the zoning inspector to please come forward and update us on what she's found.
Thank you. Okay. The store, M&E at 8635 North Broadway. The applicant, I was there this morning. I submit to you pictures, and I also submit to you the permits. The applicant has received all signage permits for signage on the building, and the applicant has come into compliance.
So the applicant is now in compliance with all conditions?
Yes, sir.
Any questions from the board? Any discussion from the board? Seeing none, I'll take a motion, please.
Motion that we no longer revoke the applicant for hearing number 8175.
Second.
Okay, been moved and seconded. Can you read the roll, please?
Director Stobie.
Aye.
Director Rundy.
Aye.
Director Hayes.
Aye.
Director Roth is excused. Director Moore.
Aye.
Director Gray.
Aye.
And President Bradley.
Aye, it is not revoked. I'd like to turn your attention to the minutes from our meeting from September the 8th. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes as presented from September the 8th? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to approve, please.
Motion to approve the minutes from meeting. Second.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Can you read the roll, please?
Director Stobie.
Abstain.
Director Rundy.
Aye.
Director Hayes.
Abstain.
Director Roth is excused. Director Moore.
Abstain.
Director Gray.
Aye.
And President Bradley.
Aye, they're approved.
Slackers.
The addendum for today's meeting, take a motion, please.
Motion to approve the agenda for today's meeting.
Second.
Can you call the roll, please?
Director Stobie.
Aye.
Director Rundy.
Aye.
Director Hayes.
Aye.
Director Roth is excused. Director Moore.
This is for today?
Mm-hmm.
Aye.
Director Gray.
Aye.
And President Bradley.
Aye, approved. Motion to accept the agenda, please.
So moved.
Second, previous roll.
Did everybody vote aye on the last one?
Yes.
Okay. It's been a call for the use of previous roll. Is there any objection to the use of previous roll? Seeing none, the agenda is approved. Motion for adjournment, please.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, being adjourned.